local, all morning. You're watching Fox 61 Morning News.
Today, we're sending a clear message that we will never give in to extortion, because that's what it was.
President Trump has signed a funding package from Congress to reopen the federal government. So we're going to share the impact on the next steps of reopening, how it can affect all of you and us. Good morning. Thanks for starting off your Thursday morning here with us at Fox 61 and streaming on Fox 61 Plus. I'm Erica Arias.
And I'm Bridget Bureau. I hope your morning is off to a great start. It is a little bit warmer out there this morning, but will it stay that way for the weekend? That's the question. Rachel, at this rate, if it's anything above 20 degrees, I'm happy. Because that was brutal a couple days ago.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there may be a shock to the system then on Saturday morning as we have some colder numbers coming in. However, today is not a bad one overall. So some sun to clouds, and there could be an isolated shower later on today, too. The wind picks up, too. It's not bad, as Bridget and Erica mentioned outside this morning. 30s and 40s across the state. 37 right now in Torrington, 40 degrees in Waterbury, 41 in Chester, and 43 right now in Groton. Upper 30s towards Willimantic. Wind speeds are in check right now. Moving forward, we will see wind gusts closer to 10 to maybe even 20 to 25 miles per hour this afternoon. So isolated gusts towards that. So increasing clouds later on today. We're starting off with a mostly sunny sky once that sun comes up in the next 20 minutes or so. Cloudy skies for the ride home, though, with temperatures in the mid to upper 40s. So town by town, 48 in Waterbury. We'll make a run at 50 over in New Haven as well as in Bridgeport. Upper 40s near 50 degrees from Mystic into Stonington. Now for tomorrow, we are going to see a little bit more sunshine. That's back into the forecast after a colder start. Temperatures will be up into the mid to upper 40s. That trend continues into our Saturday. Take a look at Saturday morning. Upper 20s across many parts inland. Temperatures by the afternoon around 47. We'll talk about any rain chances that come for this upcoming weekend coming up in just around 15 minutes. Here at 6:02, we are largely quiet across the state. We are following some road work that is wrapping up now, but really that's pretty standard here for 6 o'clock in the morning. So a live look outside over in New Haven on 95. Both directions look okay. Over in New Haven, I-95 is around 2 minutes on the Wilbur Cross. That's fine at 10. And no major delays from New Haven into Bridgeport at around 31, which is pretty standard. The live look outside over in Bridgeport on 95. Both directions look light. Over to you.
All right, Rachel, thanks. 6:02 right now. And in case you missed it, the big news this morning, the federal government, the longest federal government shutdown in U.S. history, is over.
It lasted 43 days. And last night, President Trump signed a bill to fund the federal government in the Oval Office. It happened just hours after the House passed the measure. 6 Democrats joined 216 Republicans to pass it. None of Connecticut's 5 Democratic U.S. representatives voted for the measure to end the government shutdown. President Trump accused Democrats of costing the country more than $1 trillion during the shutdown.
This cost the country $1.5 trillion, this little excursion that they took us on. Republicans never wanted a shutdown and voted 15 times for a clean continuation of funding. There's never been a time when one or the other party ever didn't sign a continuation. It's just a continuation, not a big deal. It's a continuation.
The president also thanked the Republican leaders in Congress for the deal to be reached. He thanked the 8 Senate Democrats as well, who broke ranks to join Republicans on the vote. That did not include Connecticut Senators Richard Blumenthal or Chris Murphy. Both voted against the bill. Connecticut Congresswoman Johanna Hayes said in part, quote, "The legislation before the U.S. House of Representatives is not a clean, continuing resolution. It is an egregious failure to the American people and does nothing to address the health care crisis that will increase costs for more than 20 million Americans, including 23,000 people living in the 5th District," end quote. Congressman Joe Courtney also had this to say after the vote, quote, "Failure to address health care costs in a government funding bill shows that despite promises made on the campaign trail, leaders in Washington are doing nothing to lower costs."
All right, so let's get into the details of the bill. We know that the plan funds the federal government through the end of January. It allows federal agencies that were closed to resume operations. Workers will once again get a paycheck. Essential workers who stayed on the job without getting a paycheck will get their back pay. It reverses the firing of federal workers by the Trump administration after the shutdown began. And the bill also fully funds food assistance programs like SNAP through September. But for people on Obamacare, the reopening could mean that their health insurance costs will more than double. Now, among the people getting paid will be air traffic controllers and TSA workers. They've been working without pay this entire time.
But the FAA says those flight disruptions won't end anytime soon, especially heading into this busy weekend. Fox 61's Glenn Kittle joins us live from Bradley International Airport with what you can expect if you plan on flying. Glenn, how are the airports looking? Are there any impacts this morning?
Yeah, good morning, Bridget. Erica, so far here at Bradley International Airport, only the one flight cancellation in the early morning flights to report that's arriving from Chicago O'Hare. So definitely nothing crazy going on in terms of cancellations and delays at this point. But that big news that the government is reopened, TSA and air traffic controllers will be paid soon. However, still a long road ahead for people that are flying out of airports nationwide and even right here at Bradley International Airport. Now, according to the FAA, they said that hopefully by the Thanksgiving Day travel weekend, we could be seeing flights return to normal. So definitely a good sign there for flyers as they get into the holiday season. The air traffic controllers, as you said before, have been going now on 40 some odd days without pay, and that's thousands of dollars they're missing out on their paychecks. Some of whom have had to take on second jobs just to make ends meet. We do know that from the National Air Traffic Controllers Union representative, they said the last government shutdown back in 2019, it took those air traffic controllers 2.5 months for them to receive back pay from that government shutdown. So that's another hurdle that they have to get over, and a lot of lost money that they're going to have to make up for the next 2.5 months if that's the timeline that they're going to be getting paid here. Now, in terms of what flyers should know, same thing as what we were talking about earlier in the week. Definitely just going to check your apps, check your airline apps, check the actual airport that you're going to's website for all of those details when it comes to flight delays and cancellations. We said there's still a long road ahead, and those flight reductions currently at 6% according to the FAA and the Transportation Department. Those are still in place for the time being as air traffic controllers trickle back into work after the government just reopened late last night. Live from Bradley International Airport, Glenn Kittle, Fox 61.
All right, Glenn, thanks for the update. Yeah, hopefully people can get to where they need to go without too much of an issue. Well, happening today at the state capitol, state senators are expected to convene for its special session. Yesterday, State House lawmakers passed a bill. It focused on housing growth and infrastructure. The bill would incentivize towns to build more housing by offering state funding and school construction money to communities that get on board. Both Republicans and Democrats have voiced their concerns, and they say the bill was rushed and too similar to the one that Governor Lamont vetoed earlier this year. Supporters say the measure promotes local control while addressing the state's housing shortage.
Local control, local officials being involved in the decision making. We actually did that, compromised, and now they're trying to find all sorts of other reasons to oppose a bill that is really important to the people of the state of Connecticut.
They tweak it a little bit, and boom, we have a new bill. Now, this is almost the same bad bill.
The bill also includes a proposal to ban hostile infrastructure designed to keep homeless people from resting in public spaces. It now heads to the state Senate to be considered.
And while lawmakers met inside, carpenters and contractors from Union Local 326 protested outside the Capitol. Workers claim that certain companies have committed theft and fraud. Contractors that have worked at job sites around the state set up signs and held up banners that called out job sites for stop work orders replaced by the Connecticut Department of Labor. Union members say these stop work orders were placed because companies, mostly from out of state, are creating unfair business practices by charging less amounts of money at the expense of workers. Now they want something done about it.
Make sure that things are being done above board and properly. Make sure that there's responsibility throughout the entire process, from the owner end user down to the subcontractor, and make sure that everyone who's involved in that project are following the rules, abiding by the law, and making sure that folks are making an honest living. Good local contractors can compete for business, we can put people to work, and put roofs over Connecticut residents' heads.
Puente says they chose to voice their frustrations during the special session to hopefully gain the attention of lawmakers.
One person is in critical condition after they were hit by a car in Bristol. It happened just after 7:15 last night near Pine Street and Riverside Extension. LifeStar was called in. The driver is cooperating with police, and they're hoping that anyone with information will give them a call. Portland police have identified the victim of Tuesday night's deadly crash on the Aragoni Bridge. They say 70-year-old Joseph Baran from Middletown died at the scene in a head-on crash. A 31-year-old woman who was driving the other car was taken to the hospital. No word on how she's doing this morning or what caused the crash.
Newly released emails suggest former President Trump might have known about the Jeffrey Epstein victims. The messages released by House Democrats include one from 2011, where Epstein wrote that Trump spent hours at his home with someone later identified as a victim. Another email in 2019 claimed Trump, quote, knew about the girls. Trump denies any involvement and says he cut ties with Epstein years before his crimes came to light. The White House calls the release a political distraction. Democrats say the emails are disturbing and they demand more transparency.
This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans and President Trump.
It seems as though Donald Trump had a very close personal relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, it's horrifying.
The emails dropped just before an Arizona Democrat was sworn into Congress. Speaker Mike Johnson had delayed her ceremony, blaming the government shutdown. Democrats say he was stalling because her vote could force the release of more Epstein records. The emails are part of more than 23,000 documents provided to Congress by Epstein's estate.